Let's talk about Circular DBE 2 of 2020, which was issued the 9th of July 2020, and this circular has its attachments with it. It's all about the implementation of quality assurance of the amended 2020 assessment program in the general education band, and that is now for grades R to 9. It's all about the assessment program for these grades and how moderation should take place. Its focus group is the SMTs and all selected educators, all subjects, grade R to 9, again with a link to the document and a link to this video that we are doing. So let's jump into Teams and go see where we can find this document. In the Grabie Personeel team, click on the COVID curriculum channel, click the Files tab, and then you will have the folders. This is a DBE Circular, so we go to DBE Circulars, and under DBE Circulars we will see there is Circular 2 of 2020. Clicking on that will open the document for us to read. I've opened the document in a PDF reader, so let's just quickly jump into that and go through some things. First thing that it's referring back to Circular S2 of 2020, highlighting the fact that the focus is on formative assessment, highlighting the fact that the June examination was cancelled for all grades. That is basically it. Then in point 4, again saying that the focus is on formative assessment the whole time, and then it's referring back to Annexure A, where all these things are basically defined, and that is at the back of the document. It is basically giving the definition for formative assessment, summative assessment, for baseline assessment, for school-based assessment, and school-based tests, and what moderation is. So it's basically giving us the definitions of those basic things, just that there's no confusion. Back at that point, the principles that we should take into consideration: firstly, the foundation phase. They say that the school-based assessment constitutes 100% of the weighting, and we assess learners in grade R to 3 continuously, and monitor their progress and make daily instructional decisions. Going down to 6.2, we look at the intermediate and senior phase, grade 4 to 9. What they're basically saying there is that we should ensure that there's only one formal summative assessment task that features in term 3 and 4 per subject. And then they say something about the languages as well, where they say the assessment of reading comprehension, essay writing and transactional text must be taken into consideration. And then if we consider social sciences, only one formal assessment task applies separately to history and geography. The next point there is that during all lessons, teachers should integrate formative assessment into it. And then they go into detail why that should be done. Then C, they say return one oral assessment per term for home languages and first additional languages. And the focus should be on listening comprehension exercises. In the physical assessment tasks for life skills in the foundation phase, they're basically saying there that we must take into account the limitations of social distancing. Go read that paragraph. And then for grades R to 9, there will be no formally recorded term 2 assessment, so there's nothing for term 2. For the end of the year assessments, they're basically saying that in all subjects, a school-based test replaced the end of the year examination. So there's no end of the year examination, but the school-based test. And the school-based test covers the work from terms 3 and 4, and it is set and managed by the school level with appropriate levels to ensure that it's fair and credible assessment practices, referring to the internal moderation there. 7.2, they are saying the school-based test constitutes one formal task for term 4. So there's only one task in term 4, and that is that school-based test. And they say it will carry a reduced weighting and time allocation. We will talk a little bit more about that. Failure of the school to complete that, as stipulated in Annex B, I will discuss that now again. What this means that if there's any reason why we are not going to do any of this, so then they say we need to inform the district director and get, we must obtain approval from the district director in that specific case. So please, we must try to do this as, and adhere to it at all times. Then they talk about if learners are not attending the school, they say the remaining duration, we must communicate with the parents what are the assessment requirements must be communicated with parents, and this should happen well in advance of the schedule, and then the school must accommodate the learner for specific. So we need to take into consideration if that learner can write in a normal class or if we have to make additional arrangements for that learner. And then here by 10.1, for the foundation phase, the calculation of a final progression mark is obtained from terms 1, 3 and 4, as no marks is calculated for term 2. For grades 4 to 9, we see that the 80% weighting will comprise of the assessment task for term 1 and 3. And then the balance of that, the other 20%, will be for term 4. So we're only looking at term 1 and 3 in this specific case here. Then they go over and they just explain the weightings, that the term 4 mark will be 20%, that's for grade 4 to 9, and we will see now in Annex B how that basically work. Then they talk about school reports, saying that report cards are to be generated for term 3 and 4, not for term 2. And then they talk about quality assurance. They say that we need to be very strong at school level regarding our moderation, and that the district and the provincial should support us with exemplars of formal assessments through electronic platforms or in hard copy, so we can request that. Then they just again say we need to comply to the requirements. And then on the next page, they're basically referring to something which our school is not utilizing. We don't use SAMs, so that doesn't really apply to our school in this province. Annex A was the list of the terms, which we discussed already, and then Annex B is the important one. This is the tables that are saying what are the assessment tasks that should be in for each subject and what are their weighting, and looking at term 1, and then you will see in term 2 there's no assessments. What should for home language and first additional, in term 3 there should be an oral task response to text, and there should be in writing, there should be a test response to text, and the school-based assessment would have an oral component plus a response to text plus literature in term 4. And in the mathematics, there's just a test and one summative assessment task. That doesn't mean it must be a test. It can be any assessment task which is completed in the classroom. And that is setting out exactly what should be done for assessment specifically per grade. And ladies and gentlemen, that would be the most important points of this circular.